Hello, everybody. It's Max with Crypto Talk. Now, how big is this whole thing with Binance? Binance and Quant, that really has caught my attention. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's Quant coverage. And as you can see right here, shout out again to Quant Papa. But if anything, think about this. It states specifically at CZ Binance, when FOMO, when BNB, basically, right? And anything in regards to Quant and Binance, let's face it, it's going to be huge. So what is this specifically? What's it all about? Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to go ahead and full screen this, and we'll come back for some more commentary. And if anything, I also want to give you guys some definitions of these particular terms that you're going to hear specifically about the MAPPS, multi-chain applications, to say the least. But let's go ahead and jump into it. This is about a minute and 38 seconds, and then we'll come right back.
Well, yeah, EOS, we've got it in the labs. And we've actually started looking at Binance Chain, and we've been talking to Binance about it as well.
That's exactly what I want to talk to you about. Now, they have a huge amount of volume. They have a huge footprint in the crypto economy. So what could it mean for you? Again, not to FOMO, but this is the indirect effect. If you do align and if you do partner in some way or sort of engage them in your own network, what could that mean for Quant?
So it means Binance Chain will be another connector into Overledger, and it means all the enterprise customers that are using private permission blockchains, Hyperledger, Quarter, whatever, they can all access Binance Chain through Overledger for the first time, because you can't today. There's no way to do it.
And what could that mean, though, Gil, in the context of them being such a huge sort of driver of crypto innovation or crypto uptake? What could it mean for you in that context?
But it's also the reverse. So it means every user or enterprise using Binance Chain can actually start talking to enterprise. So we're opening up these new markets where bridging traditional enterprise networks with the Binance crypto type of networks and allowing this bridge to innovate and create market access. So it means more customers for both parties, but it also allows them to use Ripple if they want to through us, using other networks, Ethereum, EOS, whatever we're on board. It just allows the interconnectivity of these networks at scale, which is huge.
Yeah, it allows it at scale, which is huge. Let's take a moment to reflect on that just for a brief bit before we get into some of the educational side of things on today's particular coverage. And I basically want to mention this, and that is, think about this. So, he as a Gilbert Verdian, when he specifically mentions, for instance, we're in talks with Binance, I'm immediately thinking, all right, you're the CEO of Quant. You're basically talking to CZ. Let's just be honest about it. And if anything, explaining, hey, this is going to benefit you guys. This benefits us. This is just a big, it's a win-win to say the least. Because like he mentioned in that brief clip, it allows just that, the interoperability. I know we always talk about interoperability. You may get tired of hearing that. But let's face it, it allows these particular enterprise/legacy systems to be now open, right? They weren't before. You weren't able to talk on these particular, systems before. And if anything, that brings in what? New clients, new customers, and so on. So when that happens, I'm specifically looking at okay, we have outlined here at CTN, how we believe that the bull run is going to happen in 2023. Me personally, I've stated that I feel as though with these ISOs, with the utility that they bring, the ISO mandate is in basically March of 2023. I think if anything, that's what starts the bull run, if you will, right? So when you hear these specific terms, right, when it comes to Binance, Binance is huge. They're the world's largest centralized exchange. And I think that if anything, that's going to help jumpstart things. But now, not just with the likes of Quant, but now you're going to see, for instance, a whole bunch of other players come into the picture, if you will, because again, you're going to see some of those go up in value, if you will, as the saying goes, on the upside. So I think it's a huge, massive thing, to say the least, when it comes to what we can see here going into 2023 and even beyond that. And why wouldn't the likes of CZ and Binance basically be all gung-ho for this? I don't see them basically, saying, no, we don't want to cooperate. That would be ridiculous. But anyway, a little bit more. I'm going to come out of the frame for a brief moment again. And I want to show you this. So there is this whole thing about some of these terms, to say the least. So I'm going to scroll up on this particular one. I'm not going to, read everything verbatim here, but it says, what is a MAPP? And of course, this was brought up, of course, many times here on the show. The live show. This is also brought up in some I recorded, but specifically that last clip that you saw says a map consists of the following components. Front end. This can be easily integrated into existing apps that are running locations such as Google Play Store, Apple Play Store, traditional web servers, or IPFS. In regards to the Quant connection, it says specifically Quant have released an Overledger software developer kit, SDK, which is embedded in the front end and enables apps to define the rules to interact with Overledger and define how to add messages or to read the output of a write to the various blockchains. The SDK is open source and is currently available in Java, JavaScript, with plans, of course, to add Python and Ruby later, and it's open source. The community can create their own version in their preferred programming language to define how to interact with just that, Overledger. Now, in regards to the API, this is Overledger's blockchain programmable interface, which stores the rules the maps have defined through SDK and allows interaction with the Overledger operating system and the connected force blockchains. Now, of course, on a later date, we'll get more into about treaty contracts and so on. But listen to this specifically about blockchains. MAP is no longer restricted to a single blockchain. It could utilize multiple, as well as having the ability to easily migrate to another if required. Decentralized networks of nodes that doesn't have to include smart contract capability. Now, if you wonder about the breakdown of how this looks on a visual, here's basically how it is. You have a cluster of servers at a cloud provider, for instance. It could be like the likes of, this is a good example, Oracle, right? So you have the API, how that basically connects to, for instance, the Overledger, right? Quant's operating system. That will create, therefore, smart contracts that will, basically send it over to various different blockchains. And of course, it just says A through E, but, you could basically have an idea of how this all works, and especially in connection to the likes of Binance. All right, a little bit more in regards to our particular coverage. I want to show you, for instance, like what was mentioned right here on this last part in regards to smart contracts. So it says running smart contracts on a platform like Ethereum are basically slow, though it has to run the smart contract in an EVM on every node on the network. At one point, Ethereum, for instance, had 25,000 nodes. Ethereum also uses its programming language, Solidity, to create smart contracts and do many others. Digital assets, DAML, Mickelson's for Tezos, K-Framework for Cardano, etc., etc. As these are new, finding developers can be extremely difficult. Likewise, if you want to migrate from one blockchain to another, you're going to have to completely rewrite your smart contract in the new blockchain's programming language. Now, what I want to state is this. This is what is significant about this key takeaway you saw from the clip. What Overledger, on the other hand, will allow with, for instance, treaty contracts, I know I said we didn't talk too much about it, but listen to this for just a second, is to use popular programming language such as Java and create smart contracts in Overledger that interacts with all the connected blockchains, hence what Gilbert was talking about in that particular clip. Even providing smart contract functionality to blockchains that don't support them, such as just that, Bitcoin. This means that developers don't have to create all the smart contracts on each blockchain and all the different programming languages. Instead, just create them in Overledger using languages, Java, that are widely used today. If they need to use a different blockchain, then it can be easy as changing a line of code rather than having to completely rewrite the smart contracts. Line of code in reality is 3 lines of code. And this is what's very, very appealing for the likes of different developers on different blockchains and so on when it comes to working with Quant, because it's the ease of access and knowing that they can focus on their own projects. For instance, whatever blockchain they're on, right? They need to focus on what they do best for that specific blockchain. And if anything, I want that to be the key takeaway. I think this is huge, to say the least, when it comes to this whole thing with Binance. And if anything, we should see a lot happen in the future, not necessarily right now, right? Things do take time, but watch out for the likes of Quant and some of these other ISOs to kickstart the bull run to happen, basically, in my humble opinion, towards the end of the first quarter of 2023. It just makes sense. Once these ISOs kick in and we achieve some of these crazy market caps, let's face it, that, again, guys, it just makes sense that will start the bull run. Doesn't mean necessarily all-time highs for everything, but again, the start of just that, the bull run. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about, in regards to this whole thing with Binance. You feel as though it's really significant? I think it is, because if anything, Binance is just that. It's the world's largest centralized exchange, and let's face it, their blockchain, what they have, for instance, with the Binance Smart Chain and so on, is still very huge. Their ecosystem is massive. They take in a lot of volume, and if anything, a lot of things will go up on the upside, a huge upside potential. I'm even seeing the likes of BNB, right? Their native coin, for instance, or native token, I should say, doing well. This one, I believe, is under 300. Some people, of course, talking about how that was a great. Let's face it, it's a bargain. I'm not telling you what to do, as far as it's not financial advice, but it is technically a bargain compared to what you've seen, for instance, with BNB in the past, to say the least. So, guys, that is going to conclude today's Quant coverage. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already. And by all means, if you enjoy these particular videos, whether it's on the likes of Quant and some of these other ISOs, please hit that bell notification. Thanks again for watching. You all have a blessed day, and we'll see you on the next one.